those who make decisions on our behalf and those of St. Bernard School. We ask this through Christ our Lord. Amen.
Thank you. Thank you, Olivia. It's a pleasure to welcome Governor Ned Lamont and Bishop Cody to St. Bernard School today. Governor Lamont will speak about his spearheading efforts to provide recovery funding for parochial schools and private schools. Governor Lamont has led our state through one of the most challenging times in the state's history. Through his courage, determination, commitment to science, and I'm certain many prayers, he has guided Connecticut to a low and improving rate of COVID-19 transmission. Because of his efforts, our state is among the most highly vaccinated in the country. For your leadership, Governor, we're most thankful. Bishop Cody, I also wish to thank you for your undying support of St. Bernard School and for your spiritual guidance through these very difficult times. I would ask you to come up and say a few words. Thank you, Bishop.
Thank you, Mr. Macrino. Governor, you honor us by your presence today, taking the time to spend with us. As I said to you earlier, you made my life and the life of this diocese easier throughout this past year because of your guidance. You were prudent, but you made it possible for all of my schools to remain open with few incidences, and my churches to remain open. So I'm extremely grateful for the leadership that you demonstrated during this very, very unusual and stressful year. So thank you for taking the time to be with us, and we ask God to bless you.
And now I would ask for a warm St. Bernard welcome for Governor Ned Lamont. Governor.
Hey everybody, this is fun. And believe me, I do not want to do all the talking. I'll just say a couple of things though. This is a year you will never forget. And I hope you learn here at St. Bernard's, you always, make the best of any situation you can. You make lemonade out of lemons. And it was a tough year. I'm really proud of this school. I was just talking to your teachers. You've been open almost all the time, and you did it cautiously, you did it safely, and this is going to be a year to remember. I'll tell you something else that I've learned a little bit about education. I mean, when I was about your age, I wanted to be a newspaper guy. I just thought it got me around. I got to see what interesting people were up to, and I like to write, so I did a lot of writing, and then I ended up studying telecommunications, and I thought that was going to be my business. And I would just urge you to always continue to learn. I mean, in this job, I thought I was going to be governor of a state that hadn't really been creating a lot of new jobs for a long time, and I was a business guy, and I thought that's what my main task was going to be as governor of the state of Connecticut. And that was until about February of last year when I got a call, and they said, I think we have our first person who's been infected with COVID. And to tell you the truth, I couldn't even spell COVID, but I knew what that meant, and I knew how scary that was for people. And one of the things you got to learn in school is learn to keep asking questions. And I learned along the way that I was going to find the very best people I could to advise me as I went through this turbulent seas. And there were a lot of scientists, there were a lot of doctors, there were a lot of folks who run hospitals. There were a lot of fellow governors, because we had to send a message and say, look, we were asking everybody to wear a mask. Imagine that in the United States of America, you're telling people you got to wear a mask. And you can't do it by just enforcing it and making a law. You've got to convince people to do it. Just like now today, a year later, we're doing everything we can to convince people how important it is to get vaccinated. And Bishop, I got to tell you, the faith community has been invaluable for me going through these really tough times and for our state, because nobody knew. We didn't know what tomorrow was going to bring. And you have faith in science, you have faith in yourself, you have faith in God, and that is what helped us travel through these terribly turbulent waters. And I think things are getting better. I'm an incurable optimist. I hope you are too. I really think that another couple of months, we get more and more of our young people vaccinated. 12 and up can now get vaccinated. You know, ask your parents, say you want to go to one of these mass vaccination centers, find out where the mobile van is and do it. It not only makes you safe, it'll make your parents and your grandparents safer, and just makes it a lot easier for all of us to get back to a new normal. And let me just ask you, I just would love to hear your impression of what the last 12 months meant. You know, you're able to go to school, which made a difference, but you weren't able to socialize nearly the way you used to in years past. You know, junior year and high school, senior year are very different than maybe what you had been led to imagine in years past. Somebody over here, what was the one memory you've got? Yes.
It was definitely tough having to wear masks and all that, but it was also nice to just be in school and be able to see your friends and all that. It was really great to be here.
Masks are a pain, look, I admit it. But to open our schools, we asked the youngest kids to wear a mask, and everybody said, oh, you'll never get a 5-year-old to wear a mask, and everybody did it. Made a difference. Yes?
Yeah, kind of like what Hope said, it was really great to be in person majority of our school year, and even for like the activities and things that we couldn't quite do, like in the same way as previous years, we were able to kind of work around it and create new rules to keep everyone safe, but also keep everyone happy. So I think that was really important.
Were you washing your hands 10 times a day? I was for a while. My knuckles were raw. Yes?
I'm proud of my students, and I'm really happy to be here because I couldn't go to school anyway because of COVID, and now being here is really, really beautiful because I can make it with my friends and go to school and have a normal life.
Where in Italy are you from?
Close to Milan, in the north part of Italy.
Milano. Yeah, Italy was hit very hard. The schools were closed there for a long time, weren't they?
Yeah. They started opening 1 month ago after 5 months, so it's hard.
Well, if you have any Italian friends who would like to come to St. Bernard's next year, you ought to tell them all about it. We could use them on the soccer team, too. How about you guys? What was it like? Were you able to do sports, or were sports really curtailed most of the time?
So for sports at St. Bernard's, I definitely am pretty involved with the sports community here. And originally I was really excited about football for high school. And our first year for football was canceled like shortly after, just a little bit of like conditioning. So that was definitely tough. And soccer, we were doing it indoor, but we couldn't go against teams from other areas. So it was just amongst the St. Bernard's kids. So sports are,
Yeah, no, my name was Mud with a lot of the sports dads. But, you know, we didn't know. I mean, when it came to football, we saw all the, you know, people are in close contact, a lot of heavy breathing, 6 people packed into a car going to that away game. We just saw, even in hockey, too. I mean, hockey was hit pretty hard. Everything is open now, which is good. We had to learn along the way, though. Sorry to hit your year last year, though.
no, I'm looking forward to next year, and it definitely was the right decision to keep everyone safe. You're correct with the football and the close contact and the people in the cars and all that. So it was the right decision, but I'm looking forward to next year.
Thank you. How about your buddy there?
I just remembered, I just remember, like, March of last year, when this all first started, like, I was not expecting it to go anywhere near, where it got to now. But I remember what was crazy is, before, like, any of us had any idea that this was happening, they had already started setting up, like, hand sanitizer, dispensers, like, everywhere. Like, you could see that they were getting ready for it before we even knew that it was happening. They had all the teachers learn how to use the platform of internet learning or whatever before we even got to that point. So I really respect the school for doing that as well. But I think it definitely helped us be able to not feel as much of the impact once it actually got to that point.
No, your school was really smart because they have to give your parents confidence that it's safe for you to go to school. And that's why the hand sanitizer and the masks and a lot of those protocols make a difference in terms of keeping you safe, and also make a difference in terms of convincing people that it is safe. In all of our stores and restaurants, I mean, everybody thought we'd have to be very heavy-handed and set really strict rules, but the restaurants wanted to set the rules themselves. And they wanted to have the 6 feet of distancing. They wanted to have the hand sanitizer. You know why? Because they wanted to convince their customers that it was safe to go back into the restaurant, just like your school wanted to convince you and your parents it was safe to get back into school. It was tough for some of our folks who were working. I mean, I had a hard time with the hair salons. Oh my gosh, they just crushed me. The owners of the hair salons, they all wanted to get back to work, had to get back now. They couldn't get the PPP loans. They were desperate to start things up, and we were going to do it with 6 feet of distancing. But the people who worked at the hair salon said, it's unsafe, you can't make me go to work. And so I had one bizarre night. They gave me a really nice house to live in, by the way, as governor. It's one of the good gigs. And so one day, all the owners of the hair salons were driving around the residents in one direction going, open up, open up. And in the other direction, the people who worked at the hair salon, the stylists, were driving in the other direction yelling, hear my voice, hear my voice. Thought that was pretty funny. You know, you can't make me go back. And you know what we realized a lot of it was? Childcare. It was just too expensive because the schools weren't open in many of these cities. So we had to make sure that they had really good childcare so they felt like they could go back to work safely. So those are the decisions you got to make, and you got to make them in real time. And, you know, I was just really anxious to be able to find any wise counsel I could. I talked to my fellow governors whenever I could. I told you the faith community was just invaluable for us, and the scientific community. And they stood up. I mean, every day I needed them to stand up and explain in layman's terms, which mean terms that people can actually understand what we were doing and why we were doing it. So who's graduating? Guess all the rest of you are sticking around for a while. That's good. And so we got a lot of juniors and sophomores here. That's good. What are you going to be doing this summer? Well, I'll give you some ideas. We're setting up learning camps all across the state. I was just telling this to the bishop. And we have a lot of young people, much younger than you know, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th graders who didn't go to school, didn't feel safe going to school, have been out and by themselves for a year in that sense of isolation. So we're setting up these summer learning camps all over the state. So if you're looking for something to do, help out at one of these learning camps and what they would mean. These young people, they really need a mentor. They need somebody they can look up to. Somebody who can say this last year has been tough. I understand it was tough on me as well. That would be an amazing service that you could provide. We've got every single of our museums and aquariums all open free of charge to students starting this summer, so that's a good deal. And if you want a free lemonade, get yourself vaccinated. You can go to any restaurant you want to. So we're doing everything we can to make you feel comfortable. This is going to be a great summer, and we're turning the page. Look, every generation in our country, we go through something horrific. Sometimes it's a war, sometimes it's assassinations, sometimes it's the Great Depression. I think in history you've studied a lot of this. We went through something very different this last year, but we came through it all together, and that's why I'm so proud of your school and so proud of our state, and we're getting through this together. Thanks, everybody. Appreciate your time.
Thank you, Governor. Okay, guys, thank you very much for joining us, and you're welcome to return. I know you can't wait. It's time to go back to class. Thank you.
No more excuses.